Oh, a little bit different forest, a little bit different area. Not familiar with it. Have to be real careful that somebody doesn't come up on us suddenly. Like, I'm not here to talk about that. So, a statement from the European Union Commission's Scientific Committee on Health Risk identified 14 emerging health issues affecting humans. 14, that's the most they've ever come out with. At number one, can you imagine or even think about what number one is? It could be so many things. Nuclear war, oil, methane. No, it was plastic pollution, microplastic. It's at number one for health risks. And the reason is because it's increasing so high. Let's take, for example, the U.S. Back in 1944, plastic production went up 300% because of the war. From that point to present, there has been 300 million tons per year of plastic produced. And all that plastic is still plastic. It never changes. All it does is break down into ever smaller pieces. They also gave a warning that this plastic pollution is affecting 90% of the world's seabirds. 90% have plastic in their stomach now. And as you know from my past videos, we know that's a death sentence after 5 or 6 pieces of plastic, depending on what kind it is. The more balloon-like or flexible plastic is the most dangerous. It gets wrapped up inside animals' guts and blocks the food from digesting and causing severe infections that eat the animal from the inside out. God, that's awful. So if you work for the plastic industry, you should think twice about what you're doing to the planet. Now, if you're consuming plastic, both in clothing and in packaging, needing more packaging, all for ever more packaging, so that when you buy something it looks pretty and nice and that you're drawn to buying it whether you need it or not. So in this report they talk about that they found huge amounts of plastic clear down in the Marianas Trench of all places. They found 2,000 pieces of microplastic per 1/4 gallon of water. That's an incredible amount. It's like a fog down there of microplastic. Now the problem with all these microplastic particles is that of course every time some pollution comes by these microplastics, it attaches itself to it. And then when an animal eats this microplastic, they get all the pollution that comes with the plastic that's got different toxins attached to it, such as mercury and pesticides and herbicides. All these attach themselves to microplastic. And then guess where they go? They go into the food chain, including us. Humans, almost all humans now have bits of microplastic inside of them with contamination, which then of course leaches out into our bodies. The warning says that if we don't do something quickly, we're going to actually poison ourselves to death with plastic. So you would think with something so important that the Congress of the U.S. or the Congress of other nations, the governing bodies would immediately put an end to plastic and ask for alternatives. But no, don't see it. Don't, just cover the eyes. So what you don't see won't bother you, right? Wrong. Next time you drink bottled water, you know that you have a good chance that you're drinking a good dose of microplastic, because microplastic happens to be in most tap water, which is where bottled water comes from. And then the water sits in these plastic bottles. Not only does the plastic leach into the water, but it also has microplastic in it, which then mixes with the water. Don't buy bottled water. You're adding so much trouble to an already big problem of plastic. Now here in the U.S., the Orange Man has put out a new budget, which is absolutely destroying our safety net and the pollution controls that are on the planet. These reductions in regulations will cause severe medical problems in the future. and we won't have any facilities to deal with it, and only the super wealthy will be able to be treated for these ailments. It's clearly becoming clear that the Orange Man is destroying not only the US but the world. His next budget, over $1 trillion taken away from the safety net. That's unheard of. We've already had so many reductions in safety net money, there's hardly any left. That's why there's so many homeless all over the US. There's no place to go if you're in an emergency situation. But I guess they figure that's your problem, and we'll just live with all these homeless people and angry people over the street and trash everywhere. And I guess that's what the wealthy want. Because they don't care. They're up in their jets flying around in the upper atmosphere and playing golf here and there and going to fancy hotels. They have no time for nature. We have to remember that plastic is our worst enemy, and that we need to do whatever we can to find an alternative to using anything made of plastic. I know it's hard. Almost every item that you buy has plastic on it or in it, or is the main ingredient. Well, soon it's going to be an ingredient in your food and your water, if it isn't already. If you're finding microplastic in the Marianas Trench, you know you're in trouble. Real trouble. So, the comments on the last video were really good. The problem is that some people like to come on the site and try to proselytize, try to push their religion, and unfortunately that's not working because YouTube isn't allowing proselytizing anymore on YouTube, I guess. So if you make a comment and try to put in a little proselytizing for your religious deity, it isn't working. They're putting you in spam, and I can't get you out. I even tried to copy and put the religious people's comments without the religion back in the comment section. They won't even let me do that. So if you want to comment, you can't do proselytizing. Things like 45, number 45, or verse this or verse that, or the word God is not even allowed on YouTube, I don't think, anymore. So make sure that if you want your message to be seen, don't proselytize on YouTube. That's what their rules are. That's not my rules, though I would still take it out, because it does it. One religion will always offend another's person's religion. So no religion on Pink Barrio. It's just the easiest way. Other than that, everything's going pretty common. We're going to get busy here soon, so we'll get a video on as soon as we can. I definitely appreciate all the comments on the last videos. I wish I could respond back. Every time I do that, I get a month of bad situation where I cannot even see what the comments are at all. So can't comment back, but I certainly appreciate the comments. And until next time.